Multiple choice exams. I got this about a week ago. In the next online office hours, could you discuss how to approach the multiple choice questions? You don't get answers, so you have to look them up. And that's a question that's come up a lot recently. I have a couple of brief tips. I feel like as time goes on, there's nothing, this is going to sound judgy. I have a decent number of friends who are law professors or Facebook friends who are, and they tend to really get in the self-pitying mode when they have to grade exams. It's like the worst thing they have to do. They've not as much empathy as they should for the students who actually, the terror-stricken students who have to take these things. So I take it a lot of them find it easier, and perhaps, to be a little kinder, some want to have a little more objective way of grading, so they offer the multiple choice exam. I hear more and more students send me things like this, asking for help on multiple choice exams. Okay. For those of you who aren't acquainted yet, a law school multiple choice exam is a bit different than other ones, including the LSAT or GRE or other exams that you've taken before. They're usually mini issue spotters. Like there's a paragraph of facts, and then you're asked questions about that that really pertain to the application of the law to the facts. So it'll be true or false, or pick A, B. It'll be a statement like, which of the following is which statement is the most true? So like you're given a crim law question, some guy just drops acid and as someone walks by, punches him in the face. And you'll get questions, which of the following is the most true? Acid taker, A, acid taker has a self-defense defense. B, acid taker has no mens rea. The mental intent element is not present because they were on acid. C, there's no actus reus. He didn't really act. Okay, so you're not going to get a question like which of the following are the elements of criminal law. You're going to get an actual issue spotter type question, and you'll have to basically verify. You'll have to run mentally through an issue spotting answer in your head to be able to answer the question. So, and I take it from, this question says that the prof likes to focus on the rules. I think that's a rarity. I do have a friend who teaches law at the University of North Dakota, and he actually does give a straight up black letter law exam, and then does very early on, then does an actual essay spotting, issue spotting essay question at the end. But I think most do something like this. So again, you're still doing the same mental exercise when you look at the facts. It's still a fact pattern and an issue spotter, but rather than laying out all of your work, they're testing your ability to issue spot by whether or not you pick the correct A, B, or C, which deals with different elements and actually gets to the question of whether or not you understand the legal issue at stake. Okay. Some of this stuff is pretty generic, some of it is not. So I have some strategic tips for you. One is never shoot from the hip. Be really systematic about how you answer these questions. They're very tricky questions. So never gaze at them and just say, that one feels the best. Now, I've seen this advice written in other places. It sounds stupid, but other advice that I'll give you will help you with this, but we tend to fall back on the reptile brain when we're a little panicked. We don't think systematically through problems. We react, especially when it seems like we're under time pressure. So this is like, put a Post-it on your exam next to you saying, be systematic, work through the exam, look at every answer. Now, it is a multiple choice exam, so there are some strategies that you can use. You can use kind of process of elimination reasoning to get to better answers and to work through the problem fast. So narrow your option. First, kill off the answers that are really clearly wrong or don't make any sense. Lastly, these things are intention, but you need to work systematically, but you have to work fast. Strictly watch your time. Don't spend too much time on the earlier questions because they're all worth the same amount normally, right? You have 40 questions. Don't spend 20 minutes on the first one and shortchange yourself at the end by spending 5 seconds on each by just bubbling C, 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 C. One thing that I used to do on kind of standardized or multiple choice exams is blow through as fast as I could, being systematic. But if there was something that stumped me, I would skip it, make a mark next to that one, make sure that I didn't miss bubble, and save it for the end so that maybe as I work through it, my subconscious brain might kind of process the question. More recent brain research says that our brain does work this way. And also to give yourself the confidence that you finish the other ones and that these tougher ones you can spend on the back end, you can spend a little more time on those. Okay, those are more generic ones. Here's something that's a little more specific to multiple choice exams in law school. One is to remember that the correct answer, the one that the professor is looking for, may not be a perfect answer. Okay? It's not going to be a complete lock. A lot of this is about the realm of legal judgment, and some answers may be better than others. The multi-state professional responsibility exam, MPRE, is something. It's one of the exams that you have to take to become a lawyer, but it's weirdly one of the exams that you can take in law school. And there's a joke about it that usually the MPRE used to have, I think, 4 answers, A, B, C, and D. And the answer was invariably, for legal ethics, the second least ethical thing to do. That is to say, you need to know where the line is because you have this obligation to zealously represent your clients without committing fraud on the court, without lying, without stealing. So the exam was about finding that line. That's very judgment-based, okay? So the right answer, that's not necessarily, back off of that for a second. That's meant to say the most ethical thing is not the right answer always on the MPRE. On a law school exam, there's this grayness to any issue spotting exams. The right answer doesn't mean that it's a perfect answer. Sometimes it's a colorable answer and it happens to be better than the other answers, okay? The flip side of that is that answers that you can rule out might be legally correct, but might not be good enough or might not be relevant enough for the point that the question is trying to get at. All this points to the fact that you generally need to do the answers. You can just try to read the question, not do an IRAC and look at the answers, but a lot of the answers do require you to set up a mini IRAC in your head. So don't just lock that in your head. There's an awesome technology called pencil and paper. Use it, map out a potential answer, and write things out. Write out the elements, and a lot of the time, and analyses under each of the elements, applying, using a lot of the techniques that we've talked about in KitCools. That will help you answer the questions. Okay, so if the first were generic multiple choice questions, the second is kind of actual on the exam, much more specific to law school type advice. this is kind of back to more general advice on law school, and it's this. Really, as with issue spotters, the 3 keys, this is that old joke about real estate, the 3 keys to the real estate are location, location, location. The key to issue spotting exams is practice, practice, practice. And the same could be said about multiple choice exams. You need to practice way in advance. Let's go back here for a second. When you have to work through something systematically and fast because you're time limited, there's nothing you can do. You can't show up with a faster brain than you have. So one of the ways to get a good grade is to make your brain faster at this by the time you arrive at the exam. Don't get yourself in a jam where it takes you forever to work through these problems. The only way you can kind of get through this is to practice way in advance. And I'm still working on, I've adjusted some surveys and have sent them out to my Larry Law list. I haven't sent them out to KitCools because they feel like they're sick of emails from me. But I think you need to get like 10 exams under your belt. That's not a bad rule of thumb to really work through stuff. If you're in the same position as the person who wrote in is, and your professor doesn't give out practice exams or doesn't give out answers on the practice exams, begin to look elsewhere. Kali, the computer-assisted blah, 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 offers online resources that are generally free to most law students. They offer paid products, but if they're paid, a lot of your law schools give you passes that make their resources free, so take advantage of them. Kali does have some multiple choice questions. Another one that I like that I've subscribed to is Peeper Bar Review. They send you a daily exercise by email. So that's how nerdy I am, is in the free time that I have between doing this, my day job, and taking care of my children and trying to make my wife not feel so neglected, I spend my time doing multiple choice issue spotters. That's how cool I am. NCBE. Okay, thank you, Sam. National Conference of Bar Examiners. They're the ones who write the thing that'll torture you at the end of school, multi-state bar exam. They give out old bar exams, bar exam questions that are in this format. You will eventually have to get used to doing multiple choice exams because it's a component of most states' bar exams. I think 49 states use the multi-state bar exam given by NCBE. They sell questions. They may be hard to follow. I'm not 100% sure if they group them usefully by subject matter. So somebody check on that. There's PMBR and Barbary. If you can get a hold of multiple choice materials, sometimes they're available by recent graduates selling them for beer money. And come back and check on the site. I'm going to begin to pull all of these I can find. This is a relatively recent development, at least in terms of a lot of people asking me for them quite recently. So I will do what I can to pull them aside. Okay.